but when I looked at them, I nearly fell from my chair. A kid named Sam had spelled his own name wrong. He'd written 10 as his answer for 4 plus 5 and wrote "Destor" for "Where does honey come from?" I glanced up and saw hunched over his phone scrolling, the neon and blue screen lights keeping him in what looked like a trance, and immediately knew what the problem was. I asked Sam to stay back, but when the bell rang, he stayed slumped over his phone, watching skibidi videos. I asked him to put it away, and he angrily set it down. "You happy now?" I started talking, but he only lasted a second before his hand started flicking 6-7 in the air. I turned my laptop around and showed him his test scores, nothing more than 10% the entire year. "Do you understand what this means?" Sam leaned forward, squinted at the screen, then sounded out "year" as "ye-are" and gave up halfway. "I don't know what you're showing me." I gripped my head in shock and quickly wrote "cat" on the whiteboard. "Can you read this, Sam?" Sam looked at it. "Ku." He paused. "Ku." My chest tightened. This was a word my 3-year-old could read. Sam gave up on the letter T and immediately picked his phone back up. He shoved the screen at my face, showing me some AI shark with sneakers. "Tralalero tralala," he shrieked repeatedly. I picked up my phone and called his parents because I was genuinely worried. His mom and dad walked through my door 20 minutes later, both staring down at their phones. They sat in the chairs across from me without looking up from their screens. My stomach sank, but I told them Sam was struggling and that this was serious. I held up his test and pointed at his own name spelled wrong at the top. He can't spell his own name, but the mom didn't even glance at the paper. She turned to her husband and showed him a funny video on her phone, and they both laughed before going back to scrolling. They hadn't heard a word I said. Sam sat in the chair beside them on his own phone, 3 heads bent over 3 screens. I realized Sam was never the problem. He was just the result of parents that failed him. I was already late for work, so I threw on my Heelys and rolled out the door. I dropped into a full Naruto stride, arms pinned back, and flashed past the bus stop crowd before they looked up, because this was my 3rd late this month and my boss swore the next one was my last. The Heelys weren't a joke to me. They were the only thing fast enough to save the job I couldn't afford to lose, so I kept kicking, eyes on my watch, doing the math on whether I'd make it. That's why I never saw the foot. One second I was flying, the next my chin skipped off the concrete and I slid 3 feet on my face. I rolled over and a kid was standing over me, one hand on his little brother's stroller, leaning down, losing it. "No way, you're a grown man in roller skates. What kind of sissy are you?" He laughed so hard he let go of the stroller, which rolled off the curb into the street, and I heard a truck coming. The kid was screaming for his brother. "Leo!" I was still half on the ground, but my spidey senses kicked in, so I shoved off and clicked onto the wheels. With one hard push, they caught the asphalt, throwing me across the road faster than my legs ever could. I got both hands on the stroller and shoved it to the far sidewalk as the truck blew past close enough to slap me with wind. The kid waddled to the stroller and held it tighter than ever. The baby was screaming his head off, alive and furious. My hands were shaking, but I didn't stay longer than I needed because all I could think about was the clock and how now I was the kind of late my boss warned me about. So I did the only thing my body knew how to do. I tapped my heels and rolled. I rolled into the office to find my boss waiting at my desk. "You've got to be kidding me. Late again, and you roll in on those toys like a kid at recess." He held out a sheet of paper. "I told you what the next time would cost you. Clean out your desk." I was reaching for it when the door flew open. A woman rushed in with a stroller, a kid behind her, and went straight to my boss. "Daniel, Leo's okay, but his stroller rolled into the road and a man caught it before a truck hit him." That's when the kid saw me and grabbed her sleeve. "Mom, that's him. That's the guy who caught Leo on his Heelys." My boss looked at the stroller, then the toys he'd just been firing me for, then the paper in his hand. He couldn't get a word out, so I left it with him, nodded, and said, "If you'll excuse me, sir, I'm gonna roll out." I tapped my heels and rolled to my desk, dropped into my chair, leaned back, and kicked my Heelys up on it, because they were never a joke. They were the real deal. My mom grabbed her cleaning supplies and went to leave for her 10-hour shift as a cleaning lady for the 7th time this week. She tried to hug me goodbye at the door, but I just ushered her out because the popular rich kid Preston was over at my house, and I was too embarrassed for him to find out what she did. When she came back, Preston was still here, and I begged her to go change in her car so he wouldn't see her cleaning uniform. She dropped her head and slowly walked out. I felt guilty watching through the window as tears rolled down her cheeks. But then Preston asked me, "What are you looking at?" I quickly replied, "Nothing, just some broke loser changing in their car, and shut the blinds while Preston laughed. That's so embarrassing. Imagine that was your mom or something. I chuckled with him. 2 days later, Preston invited me to his birthday party. My mom left for her cleaning shift, and 2 hours later, I put on my fake designer and walked to Preston's house. I pushed through the crowd looking for him. He told me, "Dude, my cleaning lady is here. We can throw drinks at her later." I laughed and told him I was down, then went into the kitchen for a soda. But that's when my face dropped in horror. My mom was on her hands and knees in her uniform, scrubbing Preston's floor with cleaning gloves. My eyes went wide and I tried to walk away, because if someone saw this, I'd be humiliated, when suddenly she turned around. We locked eyes and she mouthed, "I'm sorry, son," before going back to the tiles. My face was beet red, and that's when Preston rounded the corner. His eyes were wide with excitement. "You thought I wouldn't find out your mom scrubs toilets for a living." I felt my face burning with embarrassment as a few people looked on. "Your mom works for me. The only reason I invited you was so you could see this. You're so pathetic pretending your mom doesn't do dishes for rent money." He threw a glass of water at her and snapped his fingers. "Go scrub the bathroom." People were whispering as my mom looked at me with tears in her eyes and nodded in defeat. She walked to the bathroom with water dripping from her hair, but Preston snapped again. Without gloves, I was horrified and watched my mom slowly take off her gloves and noticed how raw her hands were from cleaning. She walked into the bathroom while Preston pointed and laughed. I was humiliated, but then I heard my mom trying not to cry behind the closed door. I realized everything she did was so I'd have a roof over my head, and something in me shifted. I didn't say a word and just grabbed a second set of cleaning supplies. I walked past Preston and opened the bathroom door, then knelt down and started scrubbing with my mom. She asked, "What are you doing?" I replied, "Helping you finish so we can go home." Her tears turned into a real smile as we cleaned together. Preston was still laughing, but now his friends weren't. Their faces dropped watching a 14-year-old on his hands and knees with his mother scrubbing toilets, and one by one they started leaving. Preston's smile vanished, and by the time the bathroom was clean, everyone was gone. I hugged my mom and said, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so proud of you." Preston was in tears, and after Mom took her payment from the drawer, she tipped over the bucket of dirty water across his bathroom floor. He'd be cleaning this one himself, as we walked out with Mom in her cleaning uniform, and her head held high. My mom's a badass, and I'll never be embarrassed of her again. My mom grabbed I was working my first ever McDonald's shift when a dad came in with his two bratty snot-nosed twins. "We want nuggets." They had their hands in the air, screaming so loud the old lady nearby dropped her coffee. The dad slammed his hands like I was his personal servant. "I want 50 nuggets and I want them now. My kids haven't eaten all day and they don't like to wait." He snapped his fingers, and I noticed his twins literally drooling whilst looking at the nuggets in the back. "That'll be $14, but he got in my face. "Why the hell does it cost so much?" I raised my hands. "I just work here. I don't set the prices." His kids immediately punched his arms. "We don't care what it costs. Just give us nuggets." His face twisted as he tossed a bunch of coins onto the counter. "Keep the change. A McDonald's worker probably needs it." My hands shook angrily as I counted, and suddenly a dozen straws hit my face, one poking my left eye. My vision blurred and one of the twins pointed at me. "That's for being so slow. Now go make the nuggets." He snapped his fingers. The dad was now leaning against a pillar scrolling his phone, while his kids got on a table chanting, "We want nuggets," and throwing crayons around. I wasn't paid enough to deal with this, but I had enough pride to do it anyway. I slowly walked to the back, holding my sore eye, and packed 50 nuggets just like they asked. I brought the box back out with a devious grin. "What took you so long?" The twins immediately grabbed it with their greedy fingers, their eyes lighting up as snot dripped onto their t-shirts. They tore it open, and instantly their jaws dropped in horror. Every nugget had been individually wrapped and sellotaped, 50 tiny parcels. Each one would take minutes to open. I looked at the three entitled stooges. "Now enjoy your nuggets. They taste better when you work for them anyway." I was working my first ever McDonald's